All right. Well, good morning. I think I've got everything set up here. Doing this from my home, so hopefully the sound is okay and everything else is all right. Um, was going to be discussing today the new mandates. I see some folks are popping in now um, into the Facebook chat, and I see one is in YouTube. Um, so the point of today is to have a discussion about what the new mandates are and what that means for our church. So um, the the long and the short is we're going to push forward. The governor stated very clearly that he doesn't want to shut things down again. He wants to be able to push them forward. So because of that, I'm excited. It means our church stays open and we keep moving forward as well. Um, but what it does mean is that he has asked, well, actually, that's not the term. He has required that all public entities, he did not list churches specifically. Let's be clear about that. He didn't state anything specifically to churches that I heard. And there's nothing that I read specific to the churches. And I see we've got 11 people in Facebook, and I'm not seeing anything come up on the chat side. So if you're trying to chat with me, it may not be coming through. I'm going to guess I see the Cubs fan, so I'm going to say Martha's here, but I'm not seeing anything as far as. Why don't y'all send me a message so I can see whether I can have a question taken through Facebook or not? I've been using a tablet for all this time, and for whatever reason, I think the other night we did a Facebook Live and it did not show the questions. I'm gonna pull it up on my phone here and we'll see if the tablet's just malfunctioning in some way, because I don't know why it wouldn't show the chat that goes on. We're still learning about technology, I guess. I guess that's what it boils down to. All righty, so I'm going to click on that. Yeah, you guys are asking questions, and it's not coming up there. So I've got to literally look at my phone to be able to see the questions. Okay. Looks like it's because I am. All right. Hang on a second. We're going to turn the camera and we're going to see what happens. Only I don't know if the camera will fit this way. It won't fit that way. You can't turn your device while you're on live, it tells me. Okay. It just told me I'm not allowed to do that. So let's see if that works. Write a comment. Nope, that didn't work either. All righty. Well, I'm going to watch my phone, and if you've got a question, I'll be glad to check it out on my phone. So all I'm seeing right now is Beth and Lorraine and John. We've got a couple of folks on YouTube here, Jim Thomason, Connie Blades, Lorraine. So welcome you all. Hey, Lorraine, good to see you across the street. All right. So the purpose of this was to have us, if you had any questions about the mandates and what it means for our church. So what I have sorted out from what I've read, there's two things that are going on. One is that the mandate itself is being questioned because of the process, not whether or not he can do it. It's a question of whether or not he did it the right way. And so there's a debate that's going on right now on whether or not the mandate is law. We're going to function as if it were, because I don't want to. I don't want to major on the minor things, and that's kind of where we're at right now. And I'm not saying that I'm for or against what the governor's doing. That's not my point. I think we should function to the best of our abilities on the positive side of whatever happens. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to focus on what he's written, and we're going to proceed as if it is law. So I've got a mask. I have it in all of the different vehicles that I drive. I've used it as I've gone to senior adults' houses. I've used it as I've gone into hospitals. I've gone into all these different things. Hey, Beth, yes, that picture of a milk glass up there is one from a wonderful, wonderful lady up in northern Kentucky, and she collected antiques. And so, yeah, she's a sweet, sweet lady. So, and if that's the only question we get today, that'll be awesome. But the point is, we're going to be discussing the mandate as if it's law. So I'm not going to get into the debate of whether or not it's really a law or not. That's beside the point right now. The governor's made a mandate, and we're going to do our best to try and follow along with what we need to do. And Martha, I don't know about the number of masks in the cabinet. I'll have to check and see because I'm not certain on that. But I can let you know. I will absolutely let you know. Thank you for that. So the long and the short is this. Our church is going to function forward as if it's law. Secondly, we're going to not emphasize as much on the mask side as we're going to do it on the social distance side. I think that's the side that everybody is much more at ease with, having the social distance. Folks aren't nearly as upset about 6 feet as they are masks. So we're going to try to really emphasize within our classrooms, within our Sunday school classrooms, within our worship services. You'll see it in our praise teams and in the preaching process. We're going to emphasize that social distance. That way, when we come to worship, we don't have to wear the masks. Now, I want to be very clear about that, because in the writing of the mandate, he does not indicate that masks have to be worn during worship or even during singing. As a matter of fact, what he states is that if you're working out in a gym and you have social distance 6 feet, then you don't have to wear the mask while you're working out. So if not Carl, he's asleep. Polly, that's funny. So if you have a mask on to sing, then you probably need to have one when you're working out, because the expulsion of air, I'm going to say, is identical. I would say it's a workout. Whichever way you want to go, it's a workout. And he says you don't have to have it to work out in. Well, then you don't have to have it to sing in. And that means you don't have to have it to preach in. You don't have to have it to worship in. As long as we have that 6 feet of distance, then I think we're going to be fine. So what I'm going to ask is, what I'm hoping is that our folks will come with a mask as we come into the building and as we exit the building. Because in the foyer, it's going to be really hard to keep that 6 feet of distance. And I don't want us to, I want us to be obedient to whatever laws are there that are not unscriptural, unbiblical. You may see them as unnecessary. It's not the same thing. You may see them as even politically wrong. It's not the same thing. Laws that are not unbiblical or unscriptural, those are the ones that we're going to, abide by, simply because Paul says we are supposed to respect the authorities that are around us. Jesus said, give unto Caesar that which is Caesar. Well, Caesar wants a mask. So whether you like Caesar or not, we got a mask. So going into the building, coming out of the building, we'll probably be wearing a mask. If you're in your Sunday school classroom and you don't have the access to get that 6 feet of distance, then talk to me and I will find you a bigger classroom. We'll work on that piece of it. I know Wednesday night, I'm probably going to work on moving that, because in the choir room, we were not able to keep that social distance. And nobody was upset by it. But now with this, I want to make sure that we do. So I may be moving that into the Christian Hall area or something like that, where we'll have that social distance. We'll have the ability to spread out even more. that's just really important so that we make sure everybody has that comfort level, and we're being now obedient to what the mandate requests. So we're going to be working on that. So if we're able to do that, we should still be able to have choir. Talked with Keith about how we can do that. We should be able to have kids ride the bus, because the school system says if they wear a mask, they can ride the bus. So we're taking the bus to Gracie Dairy Dip Sunday night, and it's going to be fantastic. We're going to have a great time. Anybody from the church who wants to come out and join us, you're welcome to. It is a youth event, but we love it when our adults and our youth are able to intermingle with one another and get to know one another. So listen, if you want to do that, that'd be fantastic. But there's really nothing we won't be able to do. It is just the question of, do you have to have a mask to do it? And so the way I'm going to work around that as best I can is to make sure that we have distance at as many events and as much as possible. We're going to have the distance required to not need the mask. And if we do that, we'll be in compliance with the law, and we will be, making everybody as comfortable as possible, because I know a lot of folks are not masked people. So listen, I'm not seeing a lot of questions here, and it's a Saturday morning. You guys have a lot that you want to do, I know. But is there any discussion on this item? And I'm not able to answer any of the questions about what's in the china cabinet. That's my wife's. I know the stuff that was on top because that was a lady in my church in Northern Kentucky, but I don't have the information on what's behind me in the china cabinet. You'll have to have Denise in here to get a grand tour. So does anybody else have a question on this stuff? I'm looking, and the only thing I've seen so far is that Carl is still asleep. And one question about masks and one question about antiques. So I am glad this is so non-important. That is a good thing, a really good thing. Hey, Glenda, I'm glad you've joined us. And I'm waving back to you. It's good to see you. So, by the way, I missed you and Joe on Wednesday night. I know that you guys are such good Wednesday night folks, and so I missed being able to see you. But know that you're doing well, and I'm glad you're doing well. Keep praying for Brother Keith. Keep praying for Jennifer Belcher and Laura Faulkner's mom as they battle this really rare cancer, but it's treatable, and we're so excited about that. Let's see. Oh, I got a question from or something from Tab and Beth. Tab and I feel wearing a mask is not hard. We should do it to protect our members, especially Brother Keith. And yes, I agree. I don't have a problem with wearing a mask to protect Brother Keith. And if that helps him, then I say we jump in. Hey, Dan and Bridget, good to see you guys. Good morning from across the street. So I should take the phone and all this junk out there, and we'll point it across the street, and you can wave at everybody. So anyway, what I know so far is that we have not had only had a one singular case test positive within our congregation. We have not had anything more than that. And in that particular case, there was no exposure to the rest of the congregation, none at all. So, I feel like we've gotten really well at protecting and taking care of our folks. On the thing with Brother Keith, I absolutely agree. We need to protect him and watch over him. I do want to make sure that everybody knows Brother Keith chooses on the mask. I asked him again this week, so when do you wear it and so on. And he told me when he felt like he needed the mask for his own protection. And he has never looked at anybody who didn't have a mask and say, man, you just don't care about me. That's not how Brother Keith works. But as far as having the opportunity to do a little more to keep him safer, I say we go for it. And so I know that when we've done staff meeting and other things like that, we've tried to keep everything as sanitized and safe as possible. Patricia is in, and she says that she feels safer if she wears a mask at church because Danny has that, those underlying conditions. I agree. We've got a lot of folks, and I was starting to hear within the last, I'm going to say 2 weeks, that there was a question of, well, I don't know if I can go to Sunday school, or I'm not sure if I can be in that committee meeting, or I'm not sure if, and it was because of either somebody at home or something that you personally had. So we don't want to make anybody uncomfortable. We don't want to make anybody fretful while they're at our church. As a matter of fact, those who come from the rehabilitation process and they're sitting up in the balcony, you'll note that they all have masks on. I noticed too, a lot of them had the mask just over their mouth and not over their nose, because I'm sure it's a rule for them, just like it is for us. And so, you got folks who are like, well, I don't like this, I'm going to do this, and so on. But, everybody that came in was wearing a mask. Would it even help them if, as we're coming in, we're all wearing masks too, so they don't feel like they're standing out? Could it be just another welcoming process for us? So this Sunday, we're going to have our greeters. We're going to ask them to be wearing masks. Our teachers in our children's area are already wearing masks. You'll see me, Brother Keith, Miss Lori, as we're moving about and we're not in the pulpit or we're not in the choir, we will have a mask on. And so let's see, Beth says, and not just Brother Keith, but all of our members. I agree. It would be heartbreaking if somebody was infected. And I think that that's important for us to not cause anybody any harm or cause anybody any concern. Now, again, in this process, in this discussion, Beth, I want you to note too, there's a whole lot of folks who feel like, well, the masks don't change anything because there's been a lot of different media hype on the process. And I know which side you stand on. I totally get that. And I'm not opposed to it. What I'm saying is that there's a lot of folks who have differing opinions on that process. And so what I'm going to say is that the focus that I want to have is just the comfort and love for every individual that comes in. And so if somebody has that concern, whether we want to say it's scientifically proven or not scientifically proven, or it's political or whatever else, if somebody has a concern, I always want to change what I can to meet that concern. And I think that we should do that every time. So I try to always give a lot of social distance. Now with the mandate, I will be using a mask so that I can show that not only am I trying to be a good citizen and being obedient to that which is being asked, but also to make sure that I share with everybody, hey, I have concern for you. And that's the only reason I'm going to be doing that. I don't feel the worry of it. I don't wear the mask for myself. And I will say, I think the governor said, listen, it's science. And he used a college study from out in California, if I remember right. And it said it was like a 60% cut down in the likelihood you catch it or get it or something along that line. You basically cut it in half if you're wearing the mask. You don't cut it out. You just cut it in half or better. I don't have a disagreement with that, because I know that I was taught as a small child, cover your mouth. It used to be you could use your hand. You're not allowed to use your hand. Now you're supposed to use your elbow. But if we use our hands or our elbows to cover our mouth when we cough, and we've been taught that since we were toddlers, it makes sense that if I cover my face with a mask and I cough, I'm going to catch something. It's not going to get all the way out, and that's a positive. So as we go forward, you should be, I pray, coming in a mask into the church, so that when you get into that corridor and you're not 6 feet away, you don't have to worry or worry about those and be able to see the need that we have to be able to go close to one another. And Lazarus, I'll come and visit with you, brother. I haven't forgotten about you. I was asking about you because you gave a great haircut to my brother Jacinto, and he was telling me about you. But I haven't seen you out and about. And by the way, we're open, and you're welcome to come and see us too. Now, if Miss Sue Ann is, I know she's got a lot of issues. So listen, if there's an issue there, holler at me, and I'll be glad to come by and we'll visit on the porch. So you got my number, by the way. So you give me a call. I don't know. Do we have any other questions about it? I think it's pretty simple. We're going to ask everybody to come on in a mask. I don't intend to beat on somebody if they don't. I'm not going to have anybody, giving the bums rush out of the church because they may be just trying to keep social distance. So listen, we're going to do all that we can to abide and live by the mandate that's given. And if anything changes, then we'll change. But the most important thing for me, I'll be honest with you, the biggest thing for me and the most exciting thing for me is that we have the opportunity to keep pushing forward and we don't have to fight anything. My biggest fear when everybody says, oh, the governor's coming out with new mandates. I thought, man, if they shut down in-person worship, I don't know what I'll do. And so I was really grateful to see that wasn't at all what was there. He said he does not want to shut down the economy. He doesn't want to change what we're doing. So it's fantastic. I'm excited about it. So, all right, we're going to start wrapping it up because it's Saturday and you guys got things to do and I got things to do. So we'll start to wrap it up. But it's a pleasure being with you guys. Can't wait to see you guys tomorrow. We're going to be preaching on the full throttle life. In other words, how to go full throttle towards what God has for us. And the biggest way we do that is by turning loose of the stuff that has caused us to kind of hold back with God. And sometimes it's church people. Sometimes it's wounds from within the congregation. Sometimes it is the politics that takes place in church, and people start to kind of get disappointed with God, and so they don't act on their faith like they need to. They don't push with their faith like they ought to. Listen, we need to learn to get our foot off the brake and start mashing that pedal again, because God has a lot for us to do. Glenda says, missing y'all, Lazarus, and I agree. We love to see Sue Ann and Lazarus with us. But I know Sue Ann has, I think it's COPD. And so she may not be allowed to be out very much. But Lazarus, that's also the reason that you'll see this on Facebook every Wednesday, 5:30. I'm going to be doing a broadcast. It won't be live, but it's a broadcast. And then every Sunday, we're doing the broadcast as well. And every Tuesday, I have a video as well. So listen, I want to share with you guys and encourage you guys as much as I possibly can. And so if you're not able to come, and I know my folks up in New England, they still haven't got out of the house. And they probably won't for a while. They're both in their 80s. And Dad says it's too big a risk. We're not taking it. So, that's the situation they're in. And I hate it for them. But as much as we're able to, we're going to reach out to everybody and try to make that connection. So I see Sherry's watching now. Good to see you, Sherry. Listen, I don't want to keep it, everybody. It's 8:26. It's a Saturday. I'm sure you guys have pancakes to make, or I don't know. And if Tab's watching, Tab, I saw a big old group of bikers. I mean, a massive group of bikers going through town this morning as I was heading through to the church. So I figured you were in there. They were really moving fast, and they look sleek. So if you guys don't know, Tab Brockman, he's out there. He's pedaling it. He's getting it now. And if you get to see him, run up behind him and honk the horn. Don't do that. So anyway, listen, it's a pleasure being with you guys. Love being pastor at this church. This is an awesome congregation. Had somebody text me early this morning and said that they had a vision of what God wanted to do within our congregation or what God was doing in our world. And they had sent it to me and to Keith. And it was such an encouraging statement. And so we get that stuff all the time. And I love it. I love it. Oh, Tab says, nope, I'm not that fast, not that sleek. Oh, come on, brother. Don't sell yourself short. I think you'd fit right in. I want to get you one of those big teardrop helmets, though. That way you can be aerodynamic all the way down your back. All right. Well, listen, we're going to have to close it up so we can get on about the business of being God's witness today. Thank you guys for just being the church that you are and the fellowship that you are. It is a joy and a privilege to be able to be with you. And tomorrow, as we come into church, let's just get ourselves prepped and ready for an awesome day of worship. We've had the conversation. Let's not worry about the issue of the mask anymore. Let's just strap it on, get it done, and get into the pew where you can peel it off and you can sing your heart out, and we can worship with all of our being the Lord and Savior who's given us this joy inside. All right. Well, I think we will close it up, and you guys have an awesome weekend. See you now. I don't know how to turn it off. Finish. See you, YouTube. Thank you guys for watching. I never saw a comment come up on here, so I'm assuming you didn't have a question, but I'm glad you were watching. And God bless you. Have a great day.